Watch as Iran protesters clash with police outside a mosque in London. Officers can be seen chasing pro-regime protesters to break them up from anti-Khamenei demonstrators, shouting "Move back." Over the weekend, those attending the Islamic Centre of England were called on to defend the mosque from supposed attacks by anti-regime groups.
Death to us is the norm, and martyrdom is from Allah. This is what we live by. We are not here to be thugs. We are not here to be violent. Anyone that tries to enter our masajid, you will be faced with people like you've never faced before. Karbala is with us every day. We Shia like to live in the places where it's uncomfortable. We like to live in places where there is a fight if they want to fight the truth. We are the Shia and we love being uncomfortable. So if you want to come and be uncomfortable, we know how to be uncomfortable. No one will enter our masajid.
The speaker, who in another post said all Shias should stand behind the Islamic regime of Iran, condemned violence and urged his group to work with police. The Islamic Centre, which the Tories have branded the Iranian regime's nerve centre in London, has been under investigation for links to the regime and previously held a vigil for the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Qasem Soleimani, after he was killed in a drone strike, calling him a great martyr. The Shia responding to these accusations, the centre has previously said it is a purely religious and cultural organisation, which provides various services to local communities and is an independent charity regulated by British law. It added most of its trustees, donors and attendees are British citizens, and they believe politically motivated lobbies are trying to drag the charity into political disputes. The centre became a battleground over the weekend for those Iranians opposing the Shia Islamic regime and its operations in London. Clashes could be seen turning violent between the groups on Sunday. Though video footage does not appear to show anti-regime protesters entering the property of the centre. Video shows a group holding pro-regime flags with the face of Ayatollah Khamenei printed on them, chanting Allahu Akbar.
I know my Lord very well. Onto the pavement, onto the pavement. Stay on the pavement.
Footage from earlier in the day shows anti-regime protesters chanting "Long live the King," referring to the heir of the last Shah, Reza Pahlavi, the figure around whom Iranians have placed their hopes for a democratic future. Demonstrators were seen on the other side of the road, away from the mosque. Police confirmed to GB News they were aware of multiple incidents at the centre over the weekend, saying, "On Sunday 11th of January, we saw varying levels of disorder throughout the day around the venue. As a result, 2 men were arrested, both for assault on an emergency worker and a fray. They've been since bailed pending further inquiries. As a result of the disorder, a Section 35 dispersal order was imposed, which required all individuals associated with the demonstrations to leave the area." Initially slow to react, the West is now threatening to crack down on Ayatollah Khamenei's regime, which itself admits it's killed 2,000 protesters, though people in the country allege there have been many more. Donald Trump has warned US citizens to leave Iran and has announced new measures to pressure the regime.
Breaking tonight on Iran, President Trump has said, effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America. Now, this comes after Tehran said it was negotiating with the American president as he considered a response to protests which have resulted in the deaths of, we believe, nearly 600 people. President Trump is said to be considering airstrikes. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has said diplomacy is always the first option for the president. The Wall Street Journal is tonight reporting that he's leaning towards strikes and that some of the administration, led by Vice President J.D. Vance, are urging him to try diplomacy before retaliation. I'm joined now by Democratic analyst Ari Aramesh in the studio. Ari, great to see you. Thank you for joining me. 25% tariffs on countries that trade with Iran. Does that sound right?
It sounds really vague and open-ended. First of all, it's not enough. I'll get to that point in a minute. But China buys about 90% of Iranian oil. The United Arab Emirates is a great ally. The president was just there. They bestowed upon the president a great many gifts. So did Qatar. They do a great deal of business with Iran. Are we going to impose tariffs now? I think this is more yet another not well thought out gesture. Now, let me back up. The president made a lot of freedom-loving people very happy a few days ago when he said, the Islamic Republic starts shooting, we'll shoot back. That encouraged a lot of people to go on the streets. We don't know how many people have been killed, have been murdered by this Islamist regime in Iran, but the number's pretty high. In 2 days, 3 days, there's been a massive internet blackout. I think we're in day 4 now or day 5. Nothing really can get in or get out. They shut down the flow of information so they can crack down and kill people. And the numbers are as high as 2,000 or 3,000 and as low as 600 or 700. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of people in a few days. I have some background in this. I've seen people getting shot with 7.62 rounds. These are AK-47 rounds. These are not used for crowd control. This is a brutal crackdown. Now, one might ask, what are the options? We're not going to bring troops on the ground. No, that's not at all what we're talking about. But the 12-day war after Israel attacked the regime, and it showed how unprotected, what an empty paper tiger these guys are. The people are pretty upset about that. They're pretty upset about 47 years of an Islamist regime that has, drove the economy to the ground, that has crashed the country's integrity and respect, and really has been terrible to women, to minorities, to anybody but regime loyalists. It's been a pretty terrible regime. Now, not to mention, it's the motherlode of terrorism, the greatest state sponsor of terrorism. You name anything from Hamas to Hezbollah to the Houthis to Hashd al-Shabi in Iraq to anybody who stands against the U.S., the free world, or Israel, they are for it. So imagine removing that obstacle. Imagine a region where you don't have a government, the 3rd largest or the 2nd largest oil reserves in the world, with with nuclear dreams and access to ballistic missiles, and the greatest funder of anybody who's willing to shoot at us. I think the U.S. will be better off, the free world will be better off, and the Iranian people will be better off. Now, the options are, we can help the Iranians by decapitating the leadership of the coercive apparatus. That's Ayatollah Khamenei. That's the supreme leader. General Kurilla, former commander of CENTCOM, and Benjamin Netanyahu, twice they had him in sight. President Trump prevented his being taken out. And he bragged about it on Twitter. He said, the Iranian leader owes his life to me. They were going to kill him like a dog, and I stopped it. Why did you? Why did you? That's correct. The regime has layer after layer after layer of coercive apparatus and leadership. But he sits at the very top. He's not just a political leader. He is the God's representative on earth. If you can take him out like a dog, you should.
Trump has been criticised roundly across the world. I mean, the coverage in the UK was incredibly negative about President Trump when he went and seized Maduro. What is he doing, going into other countries and getting involved in their politics? This is his imperialistic ambition. And then, of course, the suggestion that he might want to own Greenland as well. Do you think there is a reticence from the White House because of those sorts of criticisms that he's faced? What would his justification be?
Did you say bad coverage in the UK or the US?
UK.
So I used to. Well, let's put it this way: I haven't watched much UK, either Sky or BBC or you guys for a long time. But I tell you this: even here, the reaction was negative. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat for a whole host of reasons. I didn't vote for President Trump. I campaigned hard against him. I raised a lot of money against him. But when I woke up and I saw Maduro on that plane, thank you, Mr. President. You did a great job. You brought a thug, a narco-terrorist back here to see what a free and fair trial looks like. That's a great thing. My problem with the hard left and the hard right is the hard left is embarrassed of American intervention. The hard right thinks we're too good for it, and the brown people aren't good enough for intervention. Look at Bosnia. Look at Kosovo. Look at Kuwait. Look at Japan. Look at South Korea and Taiwan. Look at Guam and Cuba and the Philippines. They're all free because of American intervention at one time or another. There have been mistakes, but it's not necessarily American fault. Yes, I don't believe in U.S. imperialism. I think that is just a sort of a really loaded terminology. And we do go around the world to protect our interests. Yeah, it's not a charity organization. I get that. But with it also comes a lot of good. We don't go out there bayoneting, this is not the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. This is not the Japanese invasion of China or Korea. The U.S. goes in there and spreads a lot of good. Now, if you really think we shouldn't have gotten involved in Kosovo and Bosnia to save people from genocide and ethnic cleansing, if you really think we should not have liberated Kuwait, if you think we should have stayed home and let Europe burn to the ground and God knows what would have happened under fascism and Nazism or communism, then that's a different discussion. The American intervention can be good. I think what we did with Maduro is great, and I think we have a lot of options with Iran. We don't have to be far left, embarrassed and ashamed of U.S. foreign policy, or extreme right to be such isolationists. There's something in the middle. I say the Lieberman-John McCain center, sort of center left and center right. There's a lot we have in common.
When Israel did bomb Iran, which I think was about 6 months ago now, maybe
June,
a little more, it was June, wasn't it, last year?
Time flies, yeah.
Doesn't it? I remember that very clearly. That was a proxy attack on Iran by the US. Was it? Is that how you see it?
Not at all. I think they did it without our blessing anyway.
Really?
Yeah, I think they did it. It wasn't green lighted by the White House. The White House went along with it. Here's one thing, and I want to tell this to the Iranian people also. The President Trump likes winners. Now, if you're in the middle of a fight, you better look like the winner, or you're going to come on top. Then he's going to support you. But it looks like even if you're a bad guy, going to lose, chances are he's not going to take your side, right? President Trump gave the Iranians 60 days to negotiate. He sent Witkoff, and I'm not that impressed by Witkoff's negotiating expertise, especially when he's being spun around by Iranians as if they're trying to sell him this deal and that deal. But on day 61, Netanyahu hit. I think it took the U.S. by surprise. The U.S. never said we green lighted that operation. They went along with it. Second, I think the U.S. hit the Iranian nuclear bases because, well, we're the only country with the capabilities, but also wanted to stop that war. The president is really interested in going down in history as the peacemaker. That's a great ambition to have. But making peace, don't be Neville Chamberlain, making peace with a guy, coming back down the stairs of that plane with that piece of paper that, oh, I went to Munich and I got this deal. He's going to tear that apart. Ayatollah Khamenei, the Khameneis of this world are never going to get along with the free world. Chances are sometimes we have to use our muscles. I think it's Curtis LeMay who said some long time ago, his former Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, that sometimes freedom shines through the wings of a B-52 bomber. Well, it is what it is sometimes. We have to flex our muscle. And I'm not embarrassed to say that sometimes American muscle is the cause of much more good than bad. But again, the two sides, the two extremes are the loudest opinions these days on Twitter, on social media, and so on and so forth.
Ari, so interesting. Thank you. I think it's an incredibly tense situation, and I would suspect that there will be direct action in Iran. I would imagine, but I don't know what the excuse is going to be to do that. What excuse, reason is Trump going to give to the world if he does go and topple the regime via military means there? You would say he doesn't need an excuse.
What I like about this president is what I didn't like about this president. He doesn't need an excuse to do anything. He's broken so many precedents. He's violated so many rules, good or bad, that it's the Trump era. And so if he's got this free hand, it's time to use this political capital. Imagine what kind of capital he'll be building with not just Iranians, but also a lot of voters here who'll be looking forward to having him as sort of their hero. Yeah.
Ari, how great. Come back and join us again. I'd love to have you back in the studio. Thank you so much, Ari. Aramesh, their Democrat analyst. Right. Still to come this evening on The Late Show Live, the Supreme Court is stepping into a heated national debate. Are we going to this? Do we want to go back to London? We're going to go back to London. Right, we're going to go back to our Paddington panel. We're not ready for that bit yet. I'm just going to keep you hanging on there because we've got Sharon Davis and Tracy Edwards going to come out and talk to me. Let's go to London. Adam Brooks and Benjamin Butterworth are there. Hi, guys. Talk to me about this. You've just heard that conversation there about Iran. Benjamin, does President Trump need an excuse to go hard against the Iranian regime?
I mean, he needs one to justify it to his own people under the guise of America first. But Iran is a threat to the West. It has declared its willingness to use nuclear weapons. Last June, I was in Israel and spent 5 days hidden in a bomb shelter as Iranian missiles rained down, and a building just a few hundred metres from where I was destroyed by a missile. That so easily could have been me that was dead. So, you know, I do feel a certain degree of personal investment in this. But Iran is the biggest threat to the West, in my view. Because with Russia, they won't use their nukes because they know that they would then be nuked in return. But Iran is run by Islamic extremists who care only about their fantasy of what's in the sky, and they don't care if they destroy every person in the country and outside of it. And so I think there is more than reason and justification to save the Iranian people from the brutal dictator that is controlling them.
Well, there we have it from the poster boy for the left in the UK. If you're watching President Trump, the left are giving you permission to go in and save the Iranian people. But Adam, I can't help but think that if he does go in, he's going to be accused of the same issue, the empiricism that he's been accused of, the imperialist intentions that he was accused in Venezuela. Surely that's part of the reason why he's reticent.
Look, I think at the moment, this has been going on for 2 weeks now, even though our mainstream media hasn't reported it like GB News and other outlets. So people are just waking up to this and seeing. But look, I've seen one report, Bev, of up to 10,000 citizens shot or murdered by this regime. They're an evil Islamic extremist regime. And, you know, I found myself agreeing with what Ben said there. But what I would like to see is this be an organic uprising and then do this themselves. I know it's going to cost lives, but it will be more legitimate and stop all these countries and all these left-wingers normally saying that it's Western people getting involved in the Middle East again. I just want freedom for these Iranian people. We have women being shot. This is evil, pure evil. But I think he's holding off because he knows he's going to get accused of what you're saying there, of getting involved in something that we shouldn't. But how many more lives can we see? And how many body bags on the streets of Tehran can we see?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very interesting to watch it unfold. Adam, Benjamin, thank you. Stay with me.